Greetings! I'm Sean Redman, aka the cheesily named Darth Shawn. And when you hear the name Adam McKay, you think of the director of Anchorman. Well, he brought out something a little different this last year, at the end of the year, and it's pretty spectacular. The Big Short. The housing crisis of 2007, 2008 range, banking issues and all those things. Most of us remember it. Most of us, whether, like me, who just didn't follow a lot of news back then at all, didn't really follow that, knew it existed, knew a little bit about it, didn't know a ton about it. Now I want to know more about it. And that's really what a good film that talks about something in history does, is make you interested in wanting to go and learn more about it. And I think that's what The Big Short does. It takes a very, very complex issue, mortgages, housing, banking, Wall Street, all of this, the average person, it just over their head. And it tells it in a way that is so the common man can understand, but still not dumbed down. And all the credit to Adam McKay, who crafts this movie so well. You think with the man who did Anchorman and Step Brothers and wrote a lot of these dumb comedies was going to dumb this movie down or make it really funny. It does have funny moments, but the movie really works because it is willing to tell this story of despicable people that are willing to destroy the economy just to make a buck, and it tells it in such a way that is understandable for the people. And Adam McKay does such a great job directing it. It is a fast-paced at time, but he's willing to slow it down to let things know. They break the fourth wall so much, having characters talk to the screen to explain things. There's just a great mechanic where something is really complicated or some term you're just like, what is that? They'll stop it and they'll have someone actually explain it to you. And the way they do it, I don't want to spoil it because it is just fantastic. The way they do it is hilarious and brilliant, and I just love the way Adam McKay crafted this film together from beginning to end. He really told a story without forcing anything in there. Allowed the characters, allowed the real life, based on a book of these real life people, and allowed it to tell that story instead of trying to force it. And it's one of the best directed films I've seen in a while because it just works on so many levels. Now, the acting in this movie is also top-notch, and McKay got a great cast, put it all together with this, and this is apparently really big passion, got people that are really cared about this. And I think the one I'm going to mention first here is there's Ryan Gosling. I don't think Gosling was the best actor in this movie. I don't think he was even close to some of the other performances, but I feel like he was so important because he was the one that broke the fourth wall the most. He was the one that had to relay this story, and Gosling has this just likability about him, this relatability. When you see Gosling, you're just like, I like this guy. He's nice, he's going to tell me things, he's that guy that, every man wants to be, every woman wants to be with type. And that the way he does that, he can talk to the screen and relate to people. And I think there's a lot of comparisons to Wolf of Wall Street in this, because the way Gosling and others will talk to the screen, the way everything's related. I'll explain why I think it's different later, but I think those comparisons are very, good, because Wolf of Wall Street, while it's not my favorite film, I know a lot of people love that film. It's a film that I have a lot of issues, and I think I'll get a little later in my comparison on that. But the way the film that Wolf of Wall Street was built is great for this sort of thing. And borrowing a bit off from that style and crafting it their own was really important. And the way to tell a story about the crooked and corrupt that are on Wall Street and the banks and in the housing market that caused this crash. And Gosling does a great job of playing that kind of sleazy guy, but also you really like him, but also that, and he has kind of silly hair when you look at it from normal Ryan Gosling. And as a whole, I really enjoyed him, and I felt like he was such an important figure in this. The really amazing thing about this is that a lot of times the actors don't ever cross paths, and that is with Christian Bale and Steve Carell's characters. We'll start with Bale. Christian Bale plays Michael Burry, who's a doctor who is really good at numbers and predicting stocks and predicting things. And he starts looking at mortgages and these big things, and he starts to see something's not right. This is going to crash. This is going to crash. And he becomes kind of the first one to bet against the housing market, which was seen as this unbreakable empire, and he becomes the first to bet it, and literally that causes people around him, his investors and people around him, to just literally want to kill him in a lot of things and scream at him and yell at him. And the way Bale plays this character who had Asperger's, who didn't really understand people in a lot of ways, but understood numbers, understood wanting to help people, understood, trying to be caring and helpful, but couldn't ever relate that necessarily in his actions and the way he did things. And Bale is so wonderful in this role. Christian Bale's an underrated actor in Hollywood. He has obviously the big roles. He was Batman, and he has a lot of the different things. He's been nominated for Academy Awards, but I think he gets forgotten a lot when talking about just the greatest actors in Hollywood. And he can embody a character so well. And this is so different from so many of his other roles, as he's that nerd, he's that weirdo, he's that guy that just doesn't necessarily fit in, but he understands a lot of things, and he plays it so relatable. And that is why, as well as with Steve Carell's character, that is why I like this movie more than, say, something like Wolf of Wall Street. Simply because I see all the despicable acts. I see even our main characters who are kind of fighting the despicable acts, but also trying to make a buck and trying to do things, that will eventually hurt the economy. There's a line, I think it's Brad Pitt's character, that says, you do realize that if you're right and you bet, you make all this money, people are going to lose their jobs. People are going to lose their lives. And so there are a lot of these people who they're doing things that are going to end up hurting people to make a buck, but there is soul in it. There are people that still feel like, I don't like this, and I want to change things. I want to help things. And that leads into Steve Carell's character. Steve Carell plays Mark Baum. He works kind of for, Morgan Stanley. He works kind of in the banks, but he's just kind of like a subset of it. And there's interesting things. And he's worked in, on Wall Street. He's worked in all of this, and he's angry, and he hates the system, but he knows that's what he has to do to make money, and he tries to fight it. And he's good at, they say early on, he's good at detecting BS. He's good at finding out when you are lying in a lot of ways. And that character works so well because he wants to change things, but he's also, he wants to make money. He enjoys his job. He likes working in Wall Street. He likes working in the bank. He likes working this job, but he also hates the system. And you see kind of that conflict in him, and that's, I think, why he has a lot of anger issues. He gets very mad, and there's just some great scenes with Carell. And it really is wonderful to see Steve Carell work in this sort of role, in this sort of, he can be a little funny, but most of him is to be that dramatic actor in this, and he pulls it off so well because we relate. We like Steve Carell. And when you're introduced to Steve Carell at first in this movie, you're like, I don't necessarily like this guy. And you just kind of start to see a little more of the heart that he has, a little more, and you're like, okay, I do like this guy. He's got a lot of problems. He's got a lot of issues, anger and a lot of things, but you relate to him because he's a lot of us. He's that everyman type of person that is angry at the system, but also kind of has to work within the system to survive. And it's very interesting how he plays this character. And I really, really, really liked his character as well as Bale's. And I said, that's why I would take this movie over something like Wolf of Wall Street, because those characters, as you see their growth, you see through them, you see redemptive qualities, where in Wolf of Wall Street there is no redemptive qualities. And that's intentional because they're trying to make you feel that gut reaction in Wolf of Wall Street, that gut of, oh, this is despicable. I get that gut reaction in this movie of, oh, that's despicable, but also I see light in humans and light in the good that still exists. And that's what I want to see in this movie. All in all, I love this movie. If it's still in your theater around there in your areas, check it out. It may get some more, seeing as it's getting some Oscar love with Best Picture and a lot of other things. It has made a little bit of money, but not, it's not a bust, but it's also not, this huge, especially with The Revenant, it's seen a lot of its money go away. As a whole, check it out if you can. If you have to wait till DVD, I'd say get this movie when it comes out. It's a movie that allows you to think. It allows discussion. Regardless of what side of the political spectrum you're on, it can allow discussion. And that's something that's really important in this. And it allows you to see the heart of human, no matter what situation it is, and you can talk about that. And I think that is really important when watching a film like this. So have you seen The Big Short? What did you think? Did you like it as much as I do, or do you have some more issues with it? Let me know in the comments below. As always, like this video, subscribe to the channel. And I am Shawn Redman, aka the cheesily named Darth Shawn. And may the Force be with you always.